Today I want to discuss about very famous rapper, one of the most famous rapper of the world and of our times, Biggie, Biggie Smalls. This is not his real name, but he's the most famous for his for what he is called, and he's usually called Biggie or Biggie Smalls. He was an American rapper born in New York. His parents were from, I think they were from Jamaica. I'm not sure if they were born there, but they were of the Jamaican origins. And the years of his acting as a rapper were in the 90s, early 90s, and until he was murdered, shot in a drive-by in 1997. He was very big, and in the 1997 he was also very fat. So he was famous for his posture, but he was also he had a face of a child, of a kid. So his face was really unusual for a normal, standard, grown-up man, even black. So he was very famous even for his appearance, and the fame um, gave him his abilities to rap and to be a very famous hip hopper. And I want to discuss in our lecture today, was his death was the final point of making him GOAT. GOAT is abbreviation for greatest of all time, and for me, for example, and for many, I would say he's the most famous with Tupac. So two of them, they were friends. They know each other. They inspired each other, and they were also in some part they were, in some cases they were sometimes enemies. Tupac was shot earlier, 6 months earlier, near in Las Vegas, and also killed. So very, they were, both of them. They were very famous. Both of them are considered, even by black community, by American black community, the greatest rappers of all time. And both of them died in a thug way life, because all of them were selling drugs at some point in their lives, and Biggie was even kind of a drug dealer for many years. Tupac a little bit less. So they knew the mob style or the criminal style of pimps and life of a gangster, and they were of course discussing in their telediscs, in their songs, this life. For example, we have a very famous teledisc on YouTube when Biggie is like kind of a little bit Latino black, and he is waking up with young black very hot girls, and they are both discussing some things, and at the end of it he's walking through his room to the like a patio or something, like when you have a balcony and there is stairs very long and curved to the bottom, to the floor, and gangsters are attacking his mansion, and he's standing there like a like a Scarface character, and shooting all of them, and they all died, and he's cool, and he's standing as the last man surviving without any bruise or any wound. So they knew about this dangerous lifestyle, and they knew the gangs of American life, especially African American gangs like Bloods and Crips, and probably Biggie was assassinated by a member of such a gang. We are not sure who murdered him. There are some theories, but it is almost sure that it was another black man, and probably another black gangster. Also, his friends, they have concerns that even though he had security and he had fame when he was because he was in LA and there was a beef between not only between the rappers of West Coast and East Coast. So East Coast is where the New York rappers are, and West Coast is of course the coast where Los Angeles rappers are and West Coast rappers are, and both of them they were originally from New York, but later Tupac was more famous for this West Coast life. He was murdered in Las Vegas, and Biggie was a native to New York, but he went to some awards also to LA, and he was into Las Vegas but into LA, and he was murdered in LA. So it was not only beef between gangs, but also not only between the rappers or different styles of music, but also between gangs who affiliated with one rapper or another. And we also have information that there were infights between gangs, Bloods and Crips after Biggie death, and especially after Tupac death. So we see that this was not only about competition in music, but also competition between different African American gangs. But the question of my lecture is: was death necessary for Biggie and for Tupac to become goats? Because both of them are the most famous rapper of our generation, and to this day, I am 41 now. And for me, when I'm listening to rap from the 90s, I think this is the best decade of rap music. The rap from the 80s were a little bit cherry, but from the 90s was the best. Was rather dark, rather serious, rather grounded. But it was for me the best in case of lyrics, and in case of style, and in case of vibe, and in case of general music of each hip hop song. So I would say that the third best rapper for me is, for example, Eazy-E, also a black rapper, also from Los Angeles, also from the decade of the 90s. He passed away because of HIV, I think, case in 1995. So a couple of months or a year before Tupac. I consider three of them the best rappers of our generation. But I think that and they especially Tupac and Biggie, they died in a rather young age. They were like 24, 25, so they were still young men when they were murdered. But I think that, for example, Tupac sometimes joked that he's laughed at because they think that he's a fake thug, because he was telling these things about thug life, about being raised in the ghetto, about violence in black community, not changing the ways of black people, and of course the case of murders and of gangs activity in black community. So he was completely aware of these issues, and he was in a part the reason of this gang life, because he was talking about it, and even in a way praising, because he was famous and he was an authority to some extension to young black people. For example, Biggie was in LA in a warehouse, and it was like a stick up that some gangsters want to kill him. And there were almost no people. He was singing his songs, and they were throwing coins at him. So his entourage didn't know what to do, and because of the talk between two, let's say, black affiliate gang members, he survived and he was escorted to hotel room. And most of people think that if he didn't go to LA, if he would stay in New York when he was a native, he would still be alive. But I think that death of both of them, Tupac and Biggie, was necessary to make them real rappers of gangsta origin, because the creator of gangsta rap is considered Eazy-E, but also Biggie and Tupac, they were talking about gang life, about gang style. Both of them, Tupac was a thinner, was a skinny guy. Both of them were in a way handsome. Tupac maybe more. Both of them liked to wear extensive jewelry, and they were talking about this lavish style, this bougie style, and it was especially concerning because most black people in America are rather poor. So most of the black people in America are struggling financially, and they were talking about this bougie life of having a jewelry like gypsies have or something like that. And they were really wearing those. And this style, especially in their telediscs, but also on them. For example, Tupac was not assassinated, but attacked by some thugs, and they have stolen his jewelry for about worth about a couple not hundred, but maybe let's say $40,000. So it's $20,000 or something like that. Very serious money at that time. So we think that so we see that they created this rap style. They were the godfathers of this rap style, of this lavish lifestyle, of this talking about being poor, but then changing their ways, creating this American lifestyle, and being rich and bougie. We have this song, "My Bitch Is Bad and Bougie" of Migos rappers, and for example, one of them, Takeoff, I think it was Takeoff, was also murdered by another black man. So we see that this and Migos are also, I would say, from modern perspective, they are very good hip hop rap band. Along with DMC, but DMC was earlier, and he passed away, unfortunately, also because of the drugs, of the drug problem. So this issue of being bad and bougie is of course in almost every telediscs and in almost every song of those rappers, but their death was very important factor of showing that they were real gangsters, and they were real about what they were singing about. So, because we have another case of Greek novel like Odyssey, and especially Odyssey and Troy, and this in these epics of Greek origin, very old, very ancient times, we see that heroes, for example, Achilles, is famous not what he have done until his death. So his death is necessary for him to being a real epic hero. He was a hero at his life when he was defeating his opponents, when he was fighting alongside Greek against Trojans, but his death was necessary to fulfill and to complete his mission. We also have, for example, Ajax, his successor to his armor, and successor to his, let's say, to his pride and to his armor and to his belongings. And he went insane because people didn't want to give him that let's say splendor. We have unfinished tales of Ajax and his story of little Iliad about him. So we see that even in ancient Greek times, in these times, which are of course mythological because they are not historical facts about the war between Achaeans and Trojans, it is more of a mythological climate, and so on. So we see that even though our heroes, they were heroes when they still live, uh, only death could seal them as real epic heroes. And this is the same case with Biggie and Tupac. They were real great rappers. They were in a case aggressive. They were selling drugs. They were in some parts of their lives drug dealers. They have issue with their mothers. Their fathers were rather, in case of Tupac, he was pushed back by Tupac mother, and in case of Biggie, he was absent, and this is also the problem of black community, unfortunately, that fathers are absent from upbringing, unfortunately. But all of this uh, proves that they were real black gangsters, real American gangsters, and they died like gangsters. Even though they could create more songs, they could learn and teach more black young men to sing, to rap, to hip hop. But I would say that to this day, even we have great rappers like DMC, like Cypress Hill, like even Eminem. But I think that white people are not very well deserve. They cannot rap as good as black rappers. But even though we have many rappers, even of Latino origin, in America, for example, oh my God, this American Mexican rapper, I forgot his name. And we have, for example, Young Thug, and even ASAP Rocky, and so on. So we have many rather good rappers, but I would still say that good fathers of rap genre, of when it was in its peak, was when Eazy-E, Biggie, and Tupac created their songs, and they were died rather young. Eazy was a little bit older, but Biggie and Tupac, they died when they were like 25, 24, and it was really amazing for me how this hip hop genre of black music is famous. Even Biggie, from in one of his interviews, he said that right now in the 1997, hip hop is really famous. It's not just some kind of underground music of thugs and criminals. And to this day, I would say that, for example, when I want to chill out, when I want to not thinking about anything and just want to chill out, I always, I usually more often hear and listen to song of rappers of the 90s decade, and most of them are Tupac, Biggie, Eazy-E, sometimes Migos or DMC. And in the 90s we also had also Kendrick Lamar, and so on and so on. So Biggie and Tupac started it, and because of their death they sealed it. We can in a way discuss it as a Christians, that even though Christ was a God, and he's but but the most important factor was not only that he was a God, but because he died as a God for humanity. So if Christ didn't die, all Christianity would be senseless, because the most important factor of our theology is that Christ as God is dying as God, as in human form, but he's redeeming all humanity as true real God. So his death was necessary to make this to make Christianity complete. And I think in case of those rappers, even though we can criticize them that they were thugs, they were aggressive, they have very aggressive lifestyles. Some of their songs were really about killing people, about having sex, or even raping women. But both of them were really great in style. This style is inspiring rappers to this day. To this day, many are discussing who is better rapper, Biggie or Tupac, or who is the real successor of them. And I think that there is no real successor. There are successors like A$AP Rocky, Young Thug, also some Latino rappers. But Latino rap is a little bit different than a Black American rap. So I'm focusing on specifically on that type of hip hop and rap, uh, and I would say that even though I don't condone, I don't agree with their aggressive lifestyle and usually gang style of Black Americans, because I think that this lifestyle is portrayed in a little bit too positive way for young Black Americans. But I would say that from only only thinking about style, about climate, about the songs, I think their death proved in 100% that they were real thugs, they were real rappers, and they were real gangsters, and they were ready to pay the price to die for their beliefs, and their beliefs were not just some kind of degenerative or nihilistic issue. They, of course, were talking about war, about dying, about killing, about being having more women than other men, but nevertheless, their music is really the apex of hip hop music. Many people in right now we have 2026, and many people are arguing that from early 2000 hip hop is in diminishing state. But I would say that he's a little bit in a different state, because back then there were, like, let's say 10, 15 rappers of American origin, or American rappers. Right now we have 250 rappers, and some of them are really really good. Migos, Drake is not a is not a rapper, but still a little bit. He's a little bit a rapper, a hip hopper. Uh, I would say that that rap, even though it's not as good as in the 90s, I think that his current potential and its current state of being listened by white people, by Latinos, by Asians, even by Hindus, is because of this 90s decade, and especially because of these three rappers, Eazy-E, Tupac, and Biggie. For me, for example, I always prefer and always preferred Tupac. He was a little bit too more melodic, a little bit less aggressive, and a little bit, I think, better style than Biggie. But if someone would want me to choose, I would not choose. I would say that they were on the even category. They were on even league. They have a little bit different lives, even their posture. Tupac was very handsome, very skinny, like a little bougie, delicate black person. Biggie was his face was specific, but some could say that he was really ugly, fat, and big. So they were really different, and they know each other. They inspired each other. Sometimes they hate each other, but they were great rappers who really ascended to being an epic hero rappers. And even though their death was really tragic and unexpected, they proved that they were real about what they were singing about. Let me know in the comments what do you think about this specific topic.